G'day gorgeous people and welcome back to Politics Made Okay. Oh yeah, this? Yeah, I've obviously just been typing and working so hard that I've got blisters on my fingers. Yep, I'm basically the Ringo Starr of journalism. Okay, that's actually a lie. I cut myself on this big bit of broken glass and ended up in emergency this week where they tried and failed to put my hand back together. Yeah, I've just got like these two pieces of skin that can't seem to come together like I need them to. Which, now that I mention it, is not unlike the Liberals and the Nationals when it comes to the climate debate of the 21st century. But how did we get to the point of waiting for more than 100 other countries to commit to net zero by 2050 before we bit the bullet? I'm going to explain it all, from how we stack up to other countries, what they're doing, and of course, the big question, why now is Australia choosing to commit to net zero by 2050? So let's jump right in on Politics Made Okay. Yeah, you can't tell if I'm giving you a peace sign or flipping you off, can you? Yep, this is going to come in real handy in Parliament. So last week, I explained to you the government's phobia on taking meaningful action on climate change, where the National Party stood on this, and how we're starting to shift the dial. Watch that episode back to get the basics. A week on, Federal Cabinet met to discuss this net zero by 2050 proposal, with the Nats to meet a few days later in their party room to really work through some issues. Then the whole coalition's to meet a week after that to hash all this out as one united party. Ow! Well, it was worth the sarcastic air quotes. But stepping away from the news of the week, why has Australia now chosen to really tackle this issue of net zero by 2050? And are we really that far behind? In answer to your second question, why yes. Yes, we are. Now, the Paris Agreement in 2015 set a global goal that we signed up to get to carbon neutrality in the second half of this century. It's like a whole 50 years of wiggle room. Since then, countries have committed to net zero even earlier than 2050. Like Sweden, which first proposed its net zero goal to Parliament in 2017. In contrast, this is what then Treasurer Scott Morrison was doing that year.
Speaker, this is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
In the years following, more than 100 countries have signed up to net zero by 2050. That said, not all of them have enshrined that commitment in law. And some of them have carved out certain things from their net zero goal. Like our Kiwi buddies that excluded agricultural methane from their 2050 target. That's right, New Zealand said no to including cow farts in their 2050 goal. Now, on the whole, we definitely aren't keeping up with other countries. And I'm not just talking long term, but also how much we're going to cut emissions by 2030. Now, Australia has committed to cutting emissions by 26 to 28% by 2030 compared to its 2005 levels. In contrast, the US will cut its emissions by up to 52% by 2030, the UK by about 68%, Canada by 45%, India by 35%, Italy by 33%, Russia by 30%, and Indonesia by 29%. And then you got countries like France, Switzerland, and Germany. They'll cut their emissions by between 40 and 65% by 2030, but compared to 1990 levels. Anyway, not only that, but all of those countries have committed to net zero before Australia, along with the United Arab Emirates, which this week signed up to the target. Let me say that again. The UAE has committed to net zero before us. And why net zero by 2050 specifically? Well, as put all too clearly by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change earlier this year, if we don't do it by then, the world will, well, shrivel up and die. Too much? It's the truth. The question is, if committing to net zero by 2050 is going to be enough when we go to the climate summit COP26 in Glasgow. After getting a royal scolding from Prince Charles this week, the PM's decided to go in person. I say it might not be enough because COP26 is all about getting countries to do even better than they have in previous years. And most countries have committed to net zero by 2050 a while ago. So they're going to be looking to do even better. While Australia, well, we're just showing up to the party. Everyone else at the party will be wearing their shiny new 2030 outfits, and Australia will be showing up in something we bought back in 2015. That said, asking for more at this point is like asking a kid who's not been going to school for a while to get an A+ on his first day. Let's just be grateful Australia's showing up to class. But why are we showing up? Well, there's a few reasons. Firstly, all the states and territories and heaps of big businesses have made net zero by 2050 commitments of their own. So yeah, the feds started to see the writing on the wall. Secondly, this guy made pretty clear that our best bud America is going to start shaping its foreign policy with allies like us based on our climate commitments. That's right, more writing on the wall. Thirdly, there were signs we were going to lose a lot of cash if we didn't start doing more on climate. Because countries and big businesses don't want to be seen as investing in a country that's, well, lagging behind. Need I say, that's even more writing on an even bigger wall. And lastly, well, we're becoming a bit of a joke. Yep, that there's in Times Square. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. So, yeah, the need to act has become hard to ignore. If and how we make our climate commitments law, what the Nats do, and how voters like yourself react, well, that's all still to unfold. So subscribe to the channel and I will see you next time on PMO. Tell your friends how great it is, share it around, and peace out. Or if you don't, I'm sorry, I could not help myself.